last week, our illustrious cohort of companions decided that they should investigate whatever it was that fell from the heavens on during a meteor shower that they had witnessed in the evening skies. This said meteor had glowed with a particular light and had, in its final moments of streaking across the sky, had given off a flare of magical energies that formed, that took a peculiar arcane form, a sigil that one of the trio, Mira, happened to recognize. It was a symbol of aid, a request, an SOS of sorts that briefly lit across the sky before diminishing into nothing as the light from whatever the meteor was that had made its way through the night sky blipped out across the horizon. They thought about it. They kind of considered where it might have fallen and came to the conclusion that it had to have fallen in the nearby Storm Song Mountains. And as they made this discovery and as they considered their options, Mira, 80, and Vi decided that they needed to enlist some help, perhaps, to venture off to the north towards these mountains, as they would have to go through the Siltwood, a marshland forest, a little bit jungly, somewhat dense and rife with danger and magic. They decided that they needed to enlist the help of a friend of Vi's. Correct me if I'm wrong, Andrew. What was the name that you had given said friend?
It was Jawline,
Jawline, right. Which was a surprise, I think, to Ian's character, Bren, when you all arrived at Bren's house, and he was a little bit dismayed that you had told 80 and Mira of said moniker that Vi liked to use. Little discussion took place, an evening of rest, and some decision making, but the trio of you did manage to convince Bren, to head north through the Siltwood to venture to the mountains and see what you could discover. Not without perhaps some trepidation on Bren's part, as well as some concern for the dangers of the Siltwood. You still set out nonetheless. And as you were getting ready in the morning and departing Bren's farm, you discovered a myriad of not only farmland creatures that Bren keeps in his place, but also a number of creatures that perhaps were native to the Siltwood, including practically an entire colony of Almirage. If you're not familiar with D&D creatures, these are small little rabbit-like creatures that have a bit of a unicorn horn coming out of their forehead, and they are the most adorable things on the planet, and nearly melted 80 in her spot, preventing her from journeying. But nonetheless, she gathered her puddled self up and trekked off with the lot of you nonetheless. As you made your way into the Siltwood, you spent an entire day of travel. It was new and exciting, and not without its wonders, and certainly not without its dangers. As we neared the end of the evening, pushing just a little bit farther before setting up camp, there was a menacing growl from behind you as you traversed closely together through the wood. And that's where we pick up tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Is there anything of note, my dear players, that you would like to remind everyone of that I might have left off before we jump into this?
I think you got it all.
Then I think it is time to roll initiative.
Woo!
Let's see some dice, folks. Whoop. couple of decent rolls in there. I see a couple of decent rolls. So what did you get, Mira?
For some reason, it did not show up on my screen. I'm going to roll again.
Yeah, same.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that's interesting. So you got a 10 on the die, and Violet got a 9 on the die.
That means I got 12.
What, you guys can't see the log?
I also got 12.
Oh, I saw mine.
I'll just refresh it.
I got an 18.
Nice. Okay. So I got an 18 for Bryn. Ian, do you see the... it's already disappeared for me. Can you see if you can track down Beth's? Otherwise, I'll just have her roll again. What did you get total?
Mira got a 10, and then the second roll. Are we taking the first or second roll?
First roll.
Doing the first one, so I got a 12.
It's 10. Yeah.
Excellent. Oh, thank you so much, Pixie Lady, for the donations. Everyone has an advantage.
Oh, heck yeah. Thank
Pixie
you.
Lady. That's awesome. Pixie Lady, you donated 400 bits, I see. There's a discount if you buy everybody advantage for 300, so I'm going to be the nice GM and say that you did not toss that extra bits at me to give me advantage, and I'll let you decide which of these lovely individuals you want to throw an extra advantage to. Violet, or Andrew, what'd you get advantage for Violet for? Or I mean initiative, sorry, initiative.
So if I got 9, then I got a total of 12.
Excellent. And 80.
I'm not sure. Can you see mine in the thing?
No, yours
No.
not. Yours didn't show up in the game log.
Balls. Okay.
All right, just roll it again. You're good.
Oh no.
You're also
there.
rolling with advantage
I am.
because I see 2 dice. Why'd
Yes.
you do that? Well, I'll be
I
nice
have
since they both
advantage.
suck and say
Yeah,
that
it's
you got the 3.
Terrible.
Yeah, the 3 works. Giving
Yeah.
you a total of...
5.
Oh, wonderful. A lot of you have +2s to initiative. All right. So, as we begin, you hear this menacing growl from behind you. Very quickly, Ian Bren turns around most rapidly before everyone else is kind of just looking around, a little bit uncertain about the direction from which this growl came from. And Ian, as Bren turns, he comes face to face with one of the creatures that he fears most in this forest. He recognizes instantly the scaled form of an ambush drake. This one in particular that he sees bears green emerald-like scales upon his back that are covered in moss and like foliage, bits of vine and green and leaf that it uses to mask its appearance. It turns its eyes directly towards Bren, locks eyes with him. Ian, can you please describe for us what is going through Bren's mind as he sees this creature, a kind of creature that he is most familiar with?
Bren's left eye begins to twitch because that's incident that he had, and with steady hand, surprisingly, he lowers himself, reaching for his quarterstaff, but it's very small, shallow breathing, not like breaking eye contact with this ambush drake. Hopefully using the T-Rex ability, or the T-Rex method here of like no subtle movements, nothing.
No fast movements. No. Keeping it
fast
subtle.
movements, no.
Right. Yeah. So as Bren is doing this, as he has locked eyes, the rest of you are still kind of looking about and wondering where the threat is from. You all more or less together, 80, just completely confused about everything, or perhaps fearful. But the rest of you kind of turn and look over your shoulder as you see this creature's form drifting between a couple of the trees behind you menacingly. The growl echoes once again, this guttural, this guttural sound that pierces into your very soul for a moment, and you turn and look and you see this fearful beast. I don't know if any of you have ever fought or even seen a creature such as this, but it certainly has a menace about it. And as it sits there and it has locked its eyes on you, Bren, you hear another sound. The breaking of a branch off to your left. And you turn and look just in time to see another one of these creatures leaping out from a tree some 15 feet away from you and charging at you with a flying assault. It gets to make an attack at you, and this attack has advantage because it surprised you.
Great.
I just rolled a natural 20.
Let's do this.
Don't kill our healer. He's the only one that has healing.
Is that true? Hold on.
Yeah.
Oh God,
Stage one, man.
Okay,
He's old.
Let's
Give him
go.
a break.
He's old. Give him a break.
Okay. So he gets some bonus damage on this attack because it is the first round of combat. So that's pretty good. That's 17 points of damage.
You got to be kidding me. We just started. Oh man.
So
Shit.
as this creature leaps forward, it lands on Bren and sinks its jaw into his shoulder. Bren, you feel the sharpness of its teeth connect inside of you as it just locks its jaw upon your shoulder, wrestles you to the ground. Bren, being the stalwart individual that he is, kind of kicks the form, like uses its momentum to kind of kick it off of him, so it keeps moving past him, and then it rights itself very quickly and stands up, and Bren kind of mirrors the movement, being a somewhat feral individual himself. He gets on all fours and pulls himself up to his feet. Bren's left arm is almost useless at this point. He's flexing it a little bit, but you can feel, Bren, the weakness in it as it has locked, as the injury into your shoulder is just awful. And it is Bren's turn.
It's great. In the middle of all of that pain, she's I got to. So bonus action healing word on myself.
All right.
So I can get some points back. Okay, cool. That's great. And then I'd like to. I want, and this is really reluctant. Didn't want to do that right off the bat.
Got to do what you got to do, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the healing. I'm gonna use mold earth to create a barrier between us and the two drakes.
So you wouldn't be able to do any kind of a barrier between two. If you did want to do mold earth, perhaps underneath one of them or barrier to one of them, the environment that you're in is very, very tight, right? And the two of them are basically attacking at different angles, right? So they're not attacking you from the same side or anything like that. Ambush drakes get their name because they are very skilled pack hunters, right? They almost always hunt in pairs, if not more. And so in this particular instance, there's no way that you'd be able to do that with just a cantrip.
Okay. Well then, I will push a barrier against the one that was closest to me. It's probably the one that just bit me.
Okay. So it's a cantrip. You don't have to roll any special thing for it normally. But in this instance, I'm going to ask you to do basically a spellcaster ability check to see how good you are at kind of, blocking it off even momentarily to try to disrupt things a bit.
It's an 8.
And that's adding your wisdom modifier.
Oh, sorry.
Spellcaster ability check, you get to add your wisdom modifier to it.
10.
Okay. Good enough. That was the base DC. So you surge a burst of earth and ground up in front of you to obscure the vision of this one that had just attacked you. You don't know how good that's going to be at delaying it for very long, but we shall see.
Then I want to use whatever movement I have to back away from it, get 30 feet away from it.
Sure. Yeah, you do that. So as you do that, I need to roll a d6 here. You do manage to do that. I'm not trying to say you can't do that. So that's a 1. Okay. So Mira, the one that had locked eyes with Bren, that had basically been distracting Bren for its pack mate to come in and maul him, turns its eyes and locks them upon Mira and leaps forward as well. Because Mira has not gotten to act yet, it does get its bonus damage, although it does not have advantage to do this. That is a 14 to hit.
That hits.
Okay. So it does have its bonus damage, but it's not a crit. We'll see how this goes. That is 11 points of piercing damage as it comes in, grabs onto Mira's side, like her abdomen at the side, and just latches on and flings her 10 feet away. Go ahead and make an acrobatics or an athletics check for me.
That's a 6.
Okay. Mira basically slides across the ground, falls prone, doesn't take any additional damage or anything, but did fall prone. Hey. Is that more bits from Raven? Am I seeing that right?
Thank you, because we're struggling already.
Okay. Nice. Thanks, Raven. So that's another round of advantages for all 4 of you. Guess we'll see how quickly you guys burn through them. It is, in fact, Mira's turn, though. As this ambushed Drake had grabbed onto her and flung her to the side, what would you like to do?
I will use half my movement to get up. And Mira, as she's being shaken around by this thing, just thinks to herself, the only thing that's in her mind is God damn it, school did not prepare me for this. How far are these two from me now?
Well, one of them is only about 10, 15 feet away from you, the one that had just attacked you. The other one, I'll say, is probably about 25 feet. The battlefield, like I said, is pretty tightly contained. You don't have a whole lot of movement around, but there is lots of cover around and such, too, although cover doesn't usually help against melee attacks. But
all right. This one that just tried to take a chunk out of me, I'm going to shoot. I'm going to cast Magic Missile. I'm going to shoot 2 darts at it and 1 dart at the one fighting Bryn.
Okay. Magic Missile automatically hits, so go ahead and roll some damage.
All right. 2 for the first dart.
Okay, is that is that adding
Yeah.
the bonus? Okay.
2. God damn. 2 for the second dart. Rolling ones here.
Row.
Come on. There we go. And 3 at the one hitting Bran.
Okay, so 3 points for the one on Bren, 4 points for the the one that attacked you. Great. So what do your magic missiles look like? What does it look like when Mira casts this spell?
It's like just a beam of light, I think, that shoots out from her hand, a little Spider-Man style, I think.
Okay, nice. So as this beam kind of arcs out and then splits into 3 different beams and hits the creatures in the various spots, there's a moment of like it impacts them, it injures them, they kind of growl in pain from the impact of them, and there's a moment there where you can see a kind of recognition in their eyes of magic. Is that it for your turn? I'm assuming you stand up.
Yes,
and
I
don't stay
did.
prone.
Yeah, I used half my movement to get up. That I think is all for me.
Okay. That brings us to Violet then.
Yeah, Violet is gonna run to like the closest tree and kind of hide behind it.
No problem. Go ahead and roll a hide check for me.
Seven.
You have advantages. Just saying.
Yeah, probably should.
You guys might want to use them.
13.
That's significantly better, isn't it?
Great.
Let me just double check. All right, so yeah, Violet goes running around behind a tree, ducks behind one to hide.
Then she'll take her bow out, try to take an attack or shoot one if she can.
Sure, you absolutely can. Unfortunately, its passive perception is a 14, so you do not get any advantages or anything from being hidden. However, I will say, if you did, because you still have 1 advantage remaining from chat, if you wanted to go ahead and use that preemptively so that you could roll 2 dice now, I would give you advantage for any sneak attack or anything that you could potentially get the benefit of.
So you want me to do another stealth roll or to?
No. Because you have a sneak attack, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you want to use benefit for sneak attack, there is nobody facing in melee with one of them to give you that sneak attack bonus. So if you wanted to go ahead and preemptively use your 1 remaining advantage to roll this roll with advantage, that does give you your sneak attack. Even though it sees it coming.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll shoot the one that's closest to Bren.
Okay.
Okay. 13 to hit. I rolled the 7 and an 8.
Their armor class is exactly 13.
Oh my god.
So you do get to add your sneak attack damage to this.
So that's 9 plus d6 plus 5, so 14 points of damage.
Nice.
Oh my god.
So the one that so as Vi centers herself, takes a deep breath, angles around the tree, bow, arrow drawn, longbow, right? Short bow?
Short bow.
On the short bow, centers herself, sees this creature. The creature starts turning its head to look at Vi, and she looses the shaft of the arrow. It pierces into this thing's shoulder and goes a good distance, like easily 4 or 5 inches up the shaft of the arrow into the creature's shoulder, and it looks pretty heavily injured at this point. There is a not a growl of pain this time, as much as a shrill kind of yelp of pain from the impact. and there is genuine fear in its eyes as it suffers this pain. And that brings us to 80.
Great. So is the one that Violet just attacked the one that was on Bren?
Yes.
Okay.
That was the one that Bren kind of put the wall of earth up in front of to temporarily, keep it from seeing him as he moved away.
Okay. I would like to get myself into a position where I am between Mira and the one that attacked her, if possible.
Yeah.
And as I'm moving, my hands kind of start to glow a bit, and it's just this like light sort of pastel color, and I'm going to do something that I don't think I've ever done before, but now's the time, right? And I'm gonna cast Traumatic Orb at this guy.
Okay. Now, is this a thing that 80 has practiced before, or is this kind of a spontaneous, she doesn't know she's doing it, she's just trying to defend?
That one.
Okay,
yes.
So as 80 steps in front of Mira, willing the magic within her to do something to help defend Mira, this burst of arcane energy just forms this sphere of magic in front of her. There's a moment where 80 is almost lost in the looking at this magic, kind of enraptured by it. She can feel the emotions of everyone around, the pain of everyone around, which she can also sense in these creatures that are attacking a menace, a will to do harm, and she kind of channels that momentarily into the magic as it breaks her reverie of this orb of energy in front of her, and she unleashes it. Go ahead and roll your attack, because it's an attack, right? It's not a save.
Oh no, it is an attack. Yeah. So I'll just take it. That's 15.
Okay.
To hit.
Yeah.
And I get to sort of choose the damage type. So as the magic leaves my fingertips, it just sort of looks like misty and pastel-like, but as it gets closer to the creature and actually makes contact, it looks like iridescent flames engulfing it, and that'll do some damage. 17 points of damage against it, and I will stand my ground where I am.
Boom. Yeah. So, sorry, I got kind of lost in your die roll for a second there. What was the damage type again?
Fire damage.
Fire damage. Okay. So, as this explosion of fire racks across this thing's head, you can see half of its face turns crimson red, not with blood or flesh or anything, but with heat, as it just rips across half of this thing's face as it shied its face away, trying to flinch away from the fire. It slams into it and just wrecks it. Like, its form staggers a bit. It does manage to push itself back up to its feet. It is severely injured at this point, and it shakes its head and it looks at 80 and 80 can feel from it this overwhelming sense of fear at what she just did.
Good. That's it for me.
All right. So it is now the other Drake's turn, the one that Bren had put the earth up to stop, and it doesn't see Bren. It sees magic. It felt the piercing sensation of the magic. It has an arrow shaft kind of embedded in its shoulder. And Vi, who is the only one that can really see this one's face at the moment, thanks to what Bren had done, Vi, it turns and looks at you from behind the tree, and you see its eyes turn feral. Before, there was this calculated sense of will and harm and menace to them, and now it is just rage as it leaps across the space between you and attacks. That is a 13 to hit.
Oh, it misses. Oh,
So,
God.
as this thing leaps at Violet, Violet ducks just ever so slightly, and it wraps itself around the tree. Vi kind of uses the tree as a kind of cover, and it buries its jaw, or wraps its jaw around the tree and just wrenches this enormous chunk of wood out of the tree itself, like the size of Vi's head, like it was attempting to decapitate her. And it is now directly in contact, or in menacing threat, in front of you, Vi. And that brings us back to Bren. Bren,
Perfect.
give me a nature roll, please. Technically, it could be Arcana, but I don't think you're proficient in Arcana, so
I am proficient in Arcana.
it can be either or, nature or Arcana.
I'm going to do Arcana. Any day now.
So that's a 16 total, what I saw.
I didn't see it. You saw it?
Yeah, I saw it.
Yep.
Yeah, I think there's something weird going on with the D&D Beyond integration, guys. You might want to just pull up dddice.com directly. I think the D&D Beyond's not quite working right, because I am seeing the dice pop up on in DD Dice. So, what did I say it was? A 16 total?
16.
Yeah. So 16 total. You know fairly certainly that ambush drakes do not retreat unless they are under imminent, like unless they're about to die. But there is this like state in which they can become injured, and they go into this almost like frenzied fight response that eliminates their flight response. And given Bren's passive perception, his knowledge of ambush drakes, and that roll that you just did, I will say that he recognizes that the one that 80 blasted with fire is definitely feeling the flight response, and the one that's going after Vi is basically frenzying to the point that they only will fight. So you can do with that what you will.
The one that's Bren's going to charge after the one that's attacking by at the tree.
Okay.
And with that, he's going to use Primal Savagery to make that attack.
All right, go for it. Don't forget you have a couple of advantages as well.
I'm going to use that advantage.
Nice. 22 definitely hits. Oh, and we also just got another a redeemed gift from Insomnia Night RPG for Beth to have an additional advantage.
Thank you very much.
And that's my damage. Was at 3 perfect. So great. So it's 3 points of damage.
You don't get to add like your wisdom modifier or anything?
Not on Primal Savagery, no.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, you what does your primal savagery look like for Bren?
Bren's purple eyes get really bright, and his hands, the tips of his fingers kind of form into these black claws that extend out. And as he's charging forward, he starts on both feet, but then he starts to go on all fours and leaps and just buries the claws into the side of the ambush drake. And that's, just 3 points of poison.
Nice. Oh, it's poison damage?
Yeah.
Okay. So as Bren kind of feels Bren's pretty injured. He's pretty fucked up. He's not
I'm
necessarily
sorry, 3
thinking
points of acid damage. That
acid. Okay. Yes. He's not really thinking of his own safety at the moment. And he just surges himself forward, buries his magically enhanced claws into the side of this creature. He can feel the flesh under his claws kind of sizzle and roil a bit. The creature the ambush drake kind of shifts his body away from Bren and is now kind of squaring off against both the hiding Violet and the menacing Bren, and has just this feral look of dominance in its eyes. It's going to fight to the end.
How far is the other drake away from where I'm at, relatively?
Well, that was the one that had been attacking 80 and Mira, and Vi had kind of moved away, so I'm going to say it's about like 30 or 40 feet away.
As a bonus action, Bryn is going to invoke his starry form.
Okay, what does that do?
So that allows me to make a range attack as a bonus action. So it's kind of like doing guiding bolt.
Cool. So do you want to describe for everyone what this looks like?
Yeah, so on the side of the ambush drake, as Bren has his hands dug into the side of it, he rips another one out and he turns around and his eyes grow brighter again. And it seems like a small moonbeam, but very faint because it's kind of reluctant, shoots out of his hand in the direction of the other drake.
Okay. Is this a saving throw or an attack roll?
It's an attack roll.
Okay. Do it.
Please give me something good.
That's a natural 1.
I have another advantage, don't I?
You have 1 remaining, I think.
Let's do it. I'm going to use it.
Oh. From a 1 to a 20.
20. Let's go. All right. Remind me how nat 20s work on this again.
I mean, all right. So my house rule is normally with a natural 20, you, instead of rolling and then doubling the dice, you instead add whatever the maximum for the dice would be. But in this instance, it doesn't matter because this thing only had 2 hit points remaining. So if you could please tell me, how do you want to do this?
So as the starry form, because it's the starry form of the archer, it's a moonbeam that goes into the Sailor Moon-esque starry arrow right into right in between the eyes of the drake as it puts its head up and it sees me and just falls over.
Nice. So as this creature falls over, 80 and Mira, who were kind of watching it with, fear and dread at what it was about to do next, sees this starry burst of magical energy fly from Bren's hand and fell this creature. That was its turn, but it is dead now, so it is Mira's turn.
Mira was preparing another magic missile for this one, but will turn and unleash on the one that Bren is still attacking currently.
Okay. It has 1 hit point remaining, so you don't need to roll damage. Ian almost had the double kill. He was so close to having the double kill. Deb, would you please describe for us how your magic missiles fell this creature that is currently menacing Vi and Bren?
Yeah, so 80 will feel just a rush of relief through our twin bond as Mira just sort of pivots on her feet, and Spider-Man again shoots out another bolt of light and manages to hit it kind of right between the eyes, and it slumps over.
Okay. So as these two creatures, this battle that seemingly was minutes long but was barely, seconds, comes to a close, the 2 ambush drakes forms, smoking and smoldering from the magical energies that were released upon them, slumped on the ground. Your own injuries kind of feeling your own injuries all of a sudden kind of wash over you, except for, I guess, Beth and Vi, or 80 and Vi, who were uninjured. As you stand there, kind of taking in the scene, breathing heavily, the adrenaline still very much high in your minds, what would you like to do?
Mira's gonna slump to the ground. She probably has never been this, like, seriously injured this quickly in her life.
Glenn kind of shuffles off behind the tree to, like, collect himself away from everyone.
Vi will go sit beside Mira. I think this is the most dangerous thing I've ever done.
80 will also go to Mira and throw down her backpack and start digging through it for whatever shit they ended up packing for this stupid trip, and try to, like, dress her wound and everything.
Okay. Do you want to go ahead and do a medicine check?
I'd love to. You know what? I'd love to use one of my advantages and try that again, actually.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Could I assist?
You don't have to. It's all good. She's never been better.
Oh,
There it
another
is.
natural 20.
Perfect.
From a 4 to a natural 20. The chat has definitely been helping you guys out tonight.
God almighty. Yeah.
Yes. So 80 at some point was hired at a tavern that was perhaps a little bit seedier in nature and had to bandage a few wounds from individuals getting, like, stabbed with broken bottles and the like. And so she has a little bit of experience with maybe a little bit more experience than she wants with injuries and such. And so Mira, how does Mira react as 80 just goes into, like, bandage mode and starts bandaging her up, noting that you do start to feel better after the initial pain of it. So much so that when you roll hit points, or if you guys do a short rest and you roll hit dice to recover hit points, you'll get a bonus d6. But
Great.
how does Mira react to all that?
Mira lets her do it, but is really annoyed that 80 has to do it. And I think she's also concerned about Bryn. One, the fact that Bryn got injured, and two, is worried about how he's going to react when he comes back. So I think she lets 80 bandage her up quickly and then just keeps an eye out for when Bryn emerges.
I feel your annoyance through the bond, and I just say, don't be irritated with me.
I'm not.
You got eaten. Just sit still.
I'm not irritated with you. You were amazing. I just
Shut up.
This was
I'm working.
stupid. This is why did we come out here?
I do not.
And in that, and in that moment, Brent does emerge and he goes, "Yes."
Well,
why did
before
we?
before Bren comes out? Sorry, we've got an interaction for you, Bren.
Oh,
We'll
cool.
we'll catch up to you in a second. Vi or Andrew, does Vi do anything as 80 and Mira are having this moment?
I was just sitting there taking it in. She's going to be like, when he comes back, he's either going to, yell at us, or worse, he's not going to say anything. If he doesn't say anything, it's probably worse than him just freaking out at us.
It's going to be bad. It's going to be bad.
If he comes out yelling and being like, I told you so. Why did you guys? I told you not to go out. It's fine. He's just letting off some steam, But if he comes back and he's dead silent, then we really fucked up.
He's never been mad at me before. I used to bring him pastries and it was nice. This isn't nice.
I don't know what to tell you.
What? I
love this dynamic. God, I love it so much.
Well, I guess we'll find out when he comes back.
Is Mira on the verge of tears?
Yes.
Okay. half of which is probably the pain, or at least that's what she's telling herself. In the meantime, so as Bren kind of moves away from the combat, do me a favor, Ian, and tell us what is going through Bren's mind after having fought not one but two ambush drakes, when he would normally have like just tried to flee at the absolute first sign of one, having had to fight them and his companions. What's going through Bren's mind?
He's frantic, like the thoughts in his head. He's like, what am I doing out here? This stupid, that thing almost attacked Vi. My fucking arm. It's a lot of angry and frantic thoughts. And he's trying to quiet those thoughts. And with that, like coming out of the primal savagery, kind of keeping himself together, and it's severely regretting coming out here and listening to these girls. Regretting.
Okay. So as Bren kind of moves away from the combat, starts feeling all of these very intense emotions, gets a good 50-ish or so feet away from the fallen ambush drakes, leans heavily against a tree, kind of slumps down a little bit, the pain and agony of his shoulder being what it is. I need for you to make a charisma saving throw for me, please. Is that a 9? Okay.
9.
There's a moment where Bren, like, he clenches his eyes together just to see total darkness so that he doesn't have to see the bioluminescent flowers and such surrounding him, just so he doesn't have to see the siltwood. He can still smell it. He can still hear it. It's just, he's just doing everything he can to block this place out, as this sensation of wanting to just get not be here kind of overwhelms him. And then as that overwhelming sensation reaches its peak, he doesn't see or he doesn't hear the siltwood anymore. He doesn't smell the moss and the water and the marsh around him anymore. And he opens his eyes and he is standing on the cliffside south of Orlustrum, looking out at the sea, its crashing waves, not too far distant, but still below him, the violence of it spraying salt water high into the air as it crashes against the rocks beneath him. There's moments where you can feel the salt spray, even this 40 or 50 feet high up. It's the place that he has gone to many times before, particularly after the passing of his father. He's standing there on that edge, just looking out at the sea, and he feels the power of it. He feels the chaos of it, and it mirrors the chaos inside of him. And as that chaos reflection occurs, he finds serenity in it, and it calms him. And then there's a pain in his shoulder, brief pain, that shakes him out of that memory. But it wasn't a memory. He felt it. He smelled it. He heard it. He knew it. And as he shakes himself out of that from the pain, he sees a small draconic figure holding on to the tree that he's leaning against, with one outstretched arm touching his shoulder, and a arcane energy kind of rippling off of its small clawed hand as it's touching him. You heal 10 points of damage. And there is pain in this healing. It's almost like it's not the magical healing that he's used to. It's almost like his body is shape-shifting itself back into a healed state. And so that's where the pain is coming from. There's not a lot of soothing power to it. There isn't any medicinal additive that kind of helps the body block or the mind block the pain. This is more almost like the body itself healing rapidly over the course of several seconds. And as you snap out of this and see all of this, and you see this small, and when I say small, like from nose to tip of tail, it's like 3.5 feet long and has a good wingspan, but it's small compared to dragons or ambush drakes, especially to ambush drakes. But this is a draconic figure that he has seen similar of before in his trips, and occasionally he has caught glimpses of them on the farm. His knowledge of them tells him very quickly that this is a pseudo-dragon. But it is not normal for a pseudo-dragon to interact with people this closely, and it's certainly not normal for one to be able to use magic in this way to affect him. And as he comes to all of these realizations, it looks up at him and kind of startles back a little bit and recoils and moves up the tree a little bit as Bren locks eyes with it.
I think in that moment, Bren out loud, he's like, well, not out loud, but verbally, no, stop. Thank you. And just kind of sits with that moment for a little bit and begins to make their way back to the group.
So you just turn away from the pseudo-dragon and head back to the group?
Well, no, he kind of sits there a little bit and like looks at the dragon after he says thank you to see if there's any other acknowledgement or...
As he says thank you, the dragon just kind of nods a little bit, and there's a brief moment in his mind where he sees himself from a distance as if someone was watching him, and he sees himself tossing out feed and extra food tidbits and stuff to several animals at the edges of his farm. And he realizes very quickly that he is seeing this memory as a vision, as a memory from someone else's perspective. As it enters his mind, it very quickly disappears as well, but he sees the pseudo-dragon just kind of nod its head towards him.
Man, that good one. I want to take the dragon with me.
You say that out loud?
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of want to take you with me.
The dragon disappears from the front of the tree, moving around behind it. You hear clattering of claw upon bark and this like burst of energy as it seemingly probably took flight as it got out of sight of Brett.
Do I see that it took flight potentially, or do I just...
do you want to try to actively pursue and watch it?
Yes.
Do a perception check for me, please.
Would my passive give me anything?
You could use your passive if you want. You don't have to... If you have a passive ability, you can use that and just tell me what the number is.
14.
Okay. As Bren darts around the tree and looks up, he doesn't see any sign of the pseudo-dragon, but he does see a few bits of like leaves and a small bit of like bark and such from up above kind of falling to the ground.
Probably for the best. You don't keep a creature like that captive.
So as Bren looks down at his shoulder, his shirt is, torn and ripped and bloodied, but the wound is significantly closed up. Not entirely. He still feels it. There's still a little bit of injury there, but he definitely feels the healing effect from whatever that primal kind of magic that the pseudo dragon evoked.
That try my best to kind of cover up the shoulder, and then I'll make my way back to the trio.
Okay. What is Bren's demeanor as he re-enters this clearing?
He has a scowl. There is a scowl and a look on his face, but it's definitely, I would say, like 80% better than what it would have been if this interaction didn't happen. He walks over to the three of them, and he just kind of stands there, and he makes eye contact with everybody for a brief second, and then
Mira steps in front of the other two and just looks up at Bren. Don't be mad at them.
Are you okay?
Could have been better.
All limbs intact. You can move.
Ish.
Ish is good. Ish is good. And then Bren kind of just moves past the three of them and finds like something to sit on, and he sits down. He's like,
I think he's pulsed.
You can see also plainly the massive wound upon his shoulder is almost entirely healed.
I'm going to ask this again, and I do not think I have to make it any clearer than what we just experienced. This is not a place to explore. This is an opportunity for us to go back and to keep all of our extremities. Or we can push forward.
I feel like I shouldn't have an opinion because I'm not injured, but I personally would like to move forward. So just do with that what you will.
I feel like we should at least, set up camp and take a break. What are the chances of us being attacked again, or in how far, or I guess how long do we have until we're out of here?
And it's a possibility that it could happen again, but that's anywhere that we go in the Silkwood. We'll move forward. We'll find your your sigil. That's it.
Well, you're gonna help us on the way back too, yeah?
Yes. I will make sure that everyone gets back, but that's it.
That is fair.
How are you feeling? It looked like you got pretty hurt.
It's gonna take more than an ambush dragon to get me. I'm fine. Just bad knees. That's it. I haven't done that in a while.
No, go ahead.
Should we move forward and then find a place to relax? Is this a bad place to be?
Yes, we should find a different area from here, away from the dead drakes. Maybe somewhere with some natural shelter, and we'll figure it out. Everyone stop looking at me like that. I'm not mad anymore.
You're a little mad.
I'm a little aggravated, but It's either this or death. Which one would you all prefer? Exactly.
This, yes. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
We're clear.
Let's find an area. Let's just let's go.
As we walk, Mira's gonna sort of sidle up to Bren and hope that Vi and 80 are entertaining themselves with conversation, and say to Bren, "You've seen my sister, what she is."
I've seen your sister and what she is.
You won't tell anyone.
What is there to tell? She's your sister. Just another cheery disposition that has darkened my doorway.
I would die for her.
It's clear.
So if anyone finds out and it comes back to you, we will have words.
He kind of looks down at her and he goes, I would love to have that conversation with that part of you. Too bad it will never happen. And then he kind of picks up speed a little bit past her.
She'll just follow on behind.
Vi's talking to 80 and being like, did you see that? That was fucking wild. Did you see me almost shoot that Drake in the eye? And then you did that cool thing and then Deb, or no, not Deb, sorry.
Deb?
It was just going pew, 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 pew. That was crazy.
It was kind of awesome, yeah.
And I'd never seen you do that before. That was new.
It was absolutely new. I don't even know what to think.
How are you feeling?
Really good. Like really, really good.
Yeah.
And kind of awful at the same time.
At least you had a chance to be able to like kind of just let loose a little bit and you know? And you saw Bren and like, you know, Bren is like you, so it's kind of like you're in safe company at least.
Brett is like nothing coming up towards them. Brett is like nothing. We survived. That is it. Pushes past them too.
I need a survival check, please, from Bren. And if he takes assistance from anyone or anyone wishes to assist him, that is a viability. But I'm assuming that Bren is the only one proficient in survival, probably.
I mean, I do well. I do all right. Yeah, we'll do it. Here we go. 14.
Okay. It was smart to move away from the carcasses. You don't get more than a minute or two away, and you hear the sounds of what Bren very quickly identifies as bears from where you were just at, perhaps fighting over a meal. And
Thanks.
that hastens your pace perhaps a little bit to get away from the scene. But you don't have to travel long, perhaps 20 minutes, half an hour or so, before you find a small section of the forest where it's overgrown enough that you feel you could stop and sit down and make camp. It's not an overly cold night. There's a little bit of a chill, but given what you just went through, you're not sure it's entirely safe to do a fire. You absolutely could do a fire if you like. That's up to you. But I'm assuming that you all take your dusty camping supplies that some of you have and put together some type of a camp for the evening.
in our tap shoes.
Actually, I lost my tap shoes on the journey, it turns out. There's a story there. I'll tell you later when you're not mad at us.
Okay, then. So, as you all set down for camp, is there anything in particular that you all would like to do? I'm assuming that everyone will be taking watches. I'm assuming that Bren is taking first watch. Since Ian stepped away for a second, we'll just put that on him.
Mira would try to insist on taking first watch and all of the watches, but
Shut up. Go to sleep.
Do any of you do anything in particular, either before you settle in for the evening or of note for any of your watches that you would like me to be aware of?
I think at some point, I'd like to just sit beside Mira and you can feel a little bit of trepidation, and I'll just say, I'm sorry, he knows now. I couldn't really help it.
no, you couldn't.
I think it'll be okay.
I don't know him that well, but he's a good man. I think it'll be okay too. And I told him that I would have words with him if anyone found out.
Mira.
What?
Oh my god. Oh. Well, good luck with that. Wow. How are you feeling?
Like I've been half-eaten?
I didn't love that. Just so you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were great, though.
I really don't know how to explain any of that.
It's better than what they fucking taught me at school.
I don't know. I mean, I thought your little guys were very helpful.
Helpful is an overstatement. They did fine.
Yeah. Are you thinking that this is a better idea than continuing your education?
Of course not.
Okay. Yep.
But here we are.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Go to sleep. You're not taking first watch or maybe any watch. Just
I'm gonna take a watch.
Just take one later. Go to sleep. Yeah.
Wake me up.
I absolutely will.
Violet, wake me up when it's my turn to watch.
Violet's already asleep.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, I feel like Violet's knocked out.
Violet sets herself down, like lays out her bedroll, and as soon as her body like snuggles into it, immediately feels all of the adrenaline has completely left her form, and just completely goes unconscious.
Mira's gonna take everyone's advice, go to sleep.
Good.
She feels 80s irritation.
So much irritation.
So, as you all settle in for the evening, I need for you to each please make charisma saving throws. I don't actually know who all has advantages at this point, so...
I do, and I'm going to use that. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Me too.
Well, I saw a couple of good rolls in all of these dice, but I don't know whose is whose, so...
My advantage gave me a natural 20, so that's a 26.
All right, then.
That's
I got a 10.
I got
11.
21.
Okay. So, you all take your watches. Everything is fairly uneventful for you. There's the sounds of the siltwood, whilst simultaneously dangerous. Like you can feel the power of nature in this place and the threat that comes with that if it's not something you're used to. There's also a serenity to it. There is a kind of calm about being here that washes over each of you while you're on your watches. You see creatures moving about the forest, or you see hints of them anyway. You see shadows or leaves or branches moving from up above or in the distance. Occasionally you catch sight of a shadow moving across one of the, bioluminescent plants. It's enthralling in its own way. But no harm comes to any of you. You wake each other up for your watches as appropriate. And in the night, 80 and Bren, you experience strange dreams. Bren, you seem to recall a moment from years ago, decades perhaps, where you were in a barn, your father was near, your mother was helping one of the calves give birth. It was a surreal experience for a young man growing up on the farm. This was a time that he doesn't think about very much. It's a time that he doesn't really know. It's been so long, perhaps. He's not sure. And as this dream goes on, he feels himself jolt awake as he hears the sound of his mother's voice soothing the mare as she gave birth to the calf. And he jolts himself up, and he's covered in sweat. And he looks around. He sees Vi. Vi just kind of gives him the what's up shake of the head. And he lays back down, and he tries to go back to sleep. And he does. But it wasn't an easy return to sleep. For 80, in the morning, just before sunrise, when 80 is in that state of almost awake, not quite awake, where your dreams kind of run roughshod over you, and you have kind of a control over them, but you don't. 80 recalls, as a very young child herself, the day that her brother was born. And the stress of it, how she almost seemed to feel everyone's anxiety, everyone's fear, everyone's joy, all of these crazy emotions that had just almost terrorized her very soul. And then there was Mira there. calming her, giving her time, squeezing her hand, letting her know that it was going to be okay. Just Mira's presence was enough for 80 to keep control of this surging of powerful emotions surrounding the birth of her younger brother. And then she jolts awake, looking up at the canopy of the trees above, seeing the hints of the twin sun's light beyond them. The siltwood is very dense, so the light does come through, but it's scattered, and like you get more of an ambiance of it than you do any direct sunbeams, except in the rarest of occasions that they penetrate through. But she pulls herself awake in this morning hour as she sees the rest of the camp getting to stir. And Mira, who was just finishing up her watch, looks over and sees 80, not quite violently, but burst herself awake. Oh, thank you so much, Raven Sarah. Everyone has another advantage.
Thank you.
You're burning through them, so it's wanting to help you out. Oh, and we just got another one from Varl Bajem. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the best.
We just might make it, y'all.
Just maybe.
All right, well, here comes another ambush drake encounter. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. You do finish your long rests, by the way. Everyone gets their hit points back and refreshes spell slots and all of that cool stuff from taking a long rest. But back to the moment Mira sees 80 kind of wake up urgently from whatever dreams she might have been having.
I don't say anything, but I'm assuming that I'm sitting next to her, so I'll just put my hand in hers.
I don't say anything either. But you'll definitely feel gratitude.
So as the entire encampment awakens, you all prepare yourselves some kind of breakfast that I'm assuming most likely Ren was smart enough to bring along with, and start packing up your camp. Ren, as you are packing up, you feel a presence in your head, kind of almost like knocking, if that's the right way to describe it. There's it's like you know the feeling that you get when someone says, "Can we talk a minute?" You feel that, like the emotions of that in your mind. How does Glenn respond?
I think he turns around and he looks at the rest of the group and he's like, "Did you guys want something?"
Like breakfast?
No, did you need something from me?
No?
Okay. Sorry.
Just
No.
the regular stuff we've already talked about.
Yeah, no, I'm just sorry.
And then
Do you want something from us?
No,
with his back to her,
nope, everything's fine.
and then he kind of continues to do what he's doing, and he's searching his mind for that feeling again, hopefully finding like a direction, maybe mentally even going,
Hello?
As he feels that, he gets a vision in his mind like he had yesterday when he was standing on the cliffside, but it isn't one that overwhelms his senses. He's still fully aware of everything and everyone around him, but there is the briefest flash that seems to last only a fraction of a second, but for Bryn is a very long time, as he sees a path through the siltwood, a moving through it, almost as if you were flying through it, and has this sensation of calmness and correctness to it. As if someone was perhaps mentally giving him direction.
Bren turns back to the group and he goes, all right, we should get going. Start moving. And I guess after everybody's gotten themselves together, instinctually following that.
Yeah. You were the first to have everything packed up because, you're you. And as everyone else is kind of scrambling to get all of their stuff packed up in a semi-neat and orderly way, or chaotic, I don't know you, you move off to the side waiting for them, and you see in front of you a familiar tree, like one that you had just seen a second ago in your mind. And it's leading north.
Just following because now Bren is curious on this feeling and why he's so certain about these things in this direction. And I think if everybody kind of looks at him, they can see that too. Like there's a determination of like, no, this is the way. Yeah, we're going this way. And then, taking the opportunity to stop for a brief second at those points to where it feels familiar at the tree, kind of looking at it, touching the base of it and continuing forward on that certain path.
All right. Beth, how, remind me again, please, how much does AD feel in the emotions around her? It's only really the strong emotions that she feels, right? Just passively, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. There's probably AD probably picks up a little bit of this from Bren, the slight confusion and then the dedication to the purpose and the direction and all of that, the confidence of it. But it doesn't seem to be a confidence that is his own.
Interesting. I'll just tuck that little kernel of knowledge away.
Okay. As you all move through the Siltwood, you find yourselves very quickly in the daylight hours, feeling more of the wonder of this place, more of the power of it. It's intriguing, to say the least, particularly for Mira, who has probably studied or read more than a handful of books that would describe a place such as this. And she quickly discovers that such descriptions in written form pale entirely to experiencing them, to smelling, seeing, and feeling a place like this. And she starts to feel something beyond it, something beyond the nature of it, something in the very air, the sounds that seem to kind of reverberate just ever so slightly as they echo through the trees, the light that seems to refract almost as if it had touched a prism but had merely touched a leaf or a branch. And there is a magic here that she feels. This is the closest thing to, in her mind, to what she believes AD to experience when AD's magic manifests. She can feel it around her. And that's kind of the way AD has described things to her before. And for Vi at first is quite afraid of everything. A branch snaps from above, or a few leaves get jostled to the side because a squirrel or maybe a monkey or some other small creature darts from up above, and Vi instinctively goes for her short bow and has to calm herself. And this goes on for most of the morning for Vi, before she starts feeling everyone else, before she starts looking at her companions and seeing the confidence that they are expressing, before she starts understanding that she's not alone here. She's not, she may be in danger. She certainly was in danger yesterday, but she survived that danger, in no small part thanks to the companions that she's with. And perhaps she remembers what it was like to be with her crew from before. And that gives her a little bit of confidence once again. But you all spend the greater part of the day making your way through the Siltwood, being led by Bren through it, the confidence of how he knows exactly where to go. He turns here and there to avoid perhaps a bit of danger, or maybe an animal den or something. He's not entirely sure even. Bren, you feel yourself being led by your own subconscious in a way, your own instinct that guides you through the Siltwood, that leads you on this path that you know somehow instinctually to be safe. And as the sun's light begins to dim in the canopy above, as you can feel the weight of the day and the long journey ahead, the sores on some of your feet becoming a little bit painful, you think, yeah, we're getting close to time for a rest. And in that moment, Bren, that you start looking around and thinking, yeah, I should do this, you see, all of you see, the small form of the pseudo-dragon that had aided Bren kind of poke its head from around a tree in front of you. It moves out onto one of the branches. It flays out its wings kind of broadly to catch your attention. Its tail kind of flicks back and forth from behind the branch, almost like a grandfather clock ticking. There's a rhythm to it, and there's a purpose to it. And it just stares at all of you, its golden eyes kind of reflecting the power of this place as it stares at the lot of you. What do you do?
Ren?
Is it safe?
As you say that out loud, there's a slight, its tongue darts out in front of it and just kind of shakes, and it kind of shivers its form, and 80 feels a prideful annoyance come from it.
Yeah, no, it's I saw this little guy after our ambush strike encounter. No, it's safe. They're a friend.
Great.
What is it?
It's a pseudo dragon.
What does it
Really,
want?
that I don't know. I don't know what it wants. But it's here.
I get a sense that it's here for a reason? It's not just here, just oh, you just happen to find me.
Oh, yeah, no, you didn't just walk up upon this thing. There is no just casually finding a pseudo-dragon randomly, even in the Siltwood, which has several of them that call it home. No, it made itself known to you. You know that just from its demeanor and what it did to present itself, which is something that a pseudo-dragon normally would not do unless it viewed you as not a threat.
I'm going to slowly and cautiously approach it, kind of on, hey there, friend. Kind of nice to see you again.
How close do you get to it?
As close as it'll allow me.
Okay. You get closer and closer. It was only about 20 feet in front of you when it revealed itself, and you get closer and closer to where you're about, 6 or 7 feet away, and it leaps at you, and you instinctively jerk back and lift up your arms, but it catches itself in the air with its wings, and it glides out onto your shoulder and kind of wraps itself around the back of your head with its hind legs on your left shoulder, not digging in because it knows that you are injured, and putting most of its weight on its front legs on your right shoulder. And its tail kind of slithers down in front of your body and coils to give it a little bit of stability as it holds itself as it stands basically at full height on your shoulders.
Red's like, oh, okay. All right.
He pats himself down and he pulls out like a little pouch that has some grain and stuff, like leftover oats that he used for breakfast, and he puts it out in his hand and he goes,
Here you go.
As you hold up the oats, the pseudo dragon kind of leans over and sniffs at it and just kind of turns its head away.
Yeah, I wouldn't want dry oats either.
okay.
You get this scene in your mind, this brief momentary scene of a small squirrel being caught within the claws of what you believe to be this pseudo dragon, as in your mind you experience a moment of it catching and eating prey. It's just a flash, but it's enough for you to know that it prefers.
Oh, okay. You prefer me? You already maybe had your breakfast.
Okay. So I would like to see if we can get anything clear from the pseudo dragon. Just kind of standing there, hanging out, while everybody's, I assume, just watching what's happening. I'd like.
Do you want to give me an Arcana check?
Yeah.
Mira is whispering to 80 about needing to give this thing a name.
I got 11.
Is that what you're going with? You do have an advantage. You have at least one, I think two.
So I wanted to perform Mind Link with it.
Oh, would you describe what this ability does?
So Mind Link allows me to speak telepathically to any creature that I can see within 20 feet of me. I don't need to share the language of the creature for it to understand it, and the creature must be able to understand at least one language. Damn.
Okay. Do you reach out your mind?
I do.
Okay. There's a hesitation for you as you're not certain about this. You've not really done this willfully on more than a couple of occasions, and it certainly is different trying to do this with a creature such as this, but you focus yourself, you feel the magic within you, a power that somehow you know came from your mother, a power you don't like to use very much, but it feels right in this moment. And you make a connection. You feel your mind connect with this creature. It is intelligent. You feel instantly a sharing of intellect and of knowledge, but there's a difference than when you had done this before with perhaps Vi, when you had communicated with Vi before. It's not the same. You're not sharing language. You're sharing memories.
Do any of those memories lead to a name of this pseudo dragon? Of this.
Give me we'll call this, I think it's just going to be a straight intelligence check. Kind of reason your way through as you're trying to ask it what its name is.
$14.
14's pretty good. There's an implicit understanding that these creatures don't have names the way that you do. They communicate through vision and emotion. But as it understands your request and it tries to convey to you the closest thing that it can, there's a vision of it along with several other pseudo-dragons, maybe 7 or 8 of them, kind of gathered in the canopies above the Siltwood, looking up into the night sky and just peering at the stars.
Okay. I'm gonna convey, since we're working with more so visions and emotions, I'm gonna like really focus in on that and kind of like aim on the fact that this pseudo dragon's name could potentially be Star, if they're fine with that.
Because of your connection that you have with it now, you get the sense that it understands you.
Oh, okay.
Like your thoughts and words, it understands them. It just can't convey in the same way back. But so when you ask whether or not that is appropriate, you get a feeling, an emotion of happiness in response.
Okay.
This goes on for several minutes, by the way, for the rest of you, as you all see this pseudo-dragon and Bren kind of having this interaction. And they're obviously, like, there's something going on there. They're communicating in a way. 80, I think, would feel a lot of this emotion. There's no way that Bren could contain it. And I think she even feels it from the pseudo-dragon itself as it's communicating in this way. She feels no threat or danger or anything like that, despite what it might look like. But what do the rest of you do as Bren is having this communion of sorts with this pseudo-dragon?
I'm absolutely still throwing out name suggestions, not knowing what's happening internally.
Andrew, does Vi do anything in particular with all of this?
I would imagine if I is having that conversation with Mira too, just throwing out names like, well, Potato, he's kind of brown. I don't know. I'm a potato.
Okay, so we'll come back to you then, Ian, as you come to this realization that Star or Starry or something like that seems to be appropriate. What do you do?
I ask it what it needs. Because again, like you said, pseudo dragons just don't present themselves, or you don't happen on a pseudo dragon. I ask if it needs help.
You get a similar vision from this morning when you were being shown the path to take in the forest. And this vision continues on in front of you, and you instinctually turn and look down the path that the vision kind of presents, as if it wants you to go somewhere.
Oh, so you don't need our help. You're here to help us. Thank you. And we're just gonna go with Star. Is Star still on my shoulder?
Yeah, they're just standing there.
I turn to the rest of the group and I'm like, so this is my friend. Their name is Star.
Oh, yeah, that's a better name than Potato.
As you say potato, the pseudo dragon and Bren simultaneously look at you with the same disgust in their face.
Yeah,
It
both of them were like,
it wasn't
"What?"
me. Violet suggested Potato. You're kind of brown. I don't know.
Star turns and looks at Vi with this just glare of how dare you.
But Bren like pats their tail and goes, "They're young. It's fine."
Potatoes are the best food in the world. You can do so much with potatoes. They have so much potential.
Roll a charisma saving throw for me, Andrew. Remember, you can choose to fail.
The 10.
You instantly have a memory of eating, like having cooked or preparing a couple of potatoes in your kitchen. And then all of a sudden, one of the potatoes morphs in your mind into the pseudo dragon as you're like holding the knife over it, and it just looks up at you with like puppy dog eyes, like very anime. Like this whole vision is just distorted in your mind, you know, very anime-esque style of why would you eat me, you know, sort of look.
I'm so sorry. I really want a jacket potato.
It's Bren's gonna look at everybody and go, I think they're gonna help us the rest of the way.
That's nice. Do we need
Awesome.
to give them anything or do anything for them?
If so, they'll let us know. But as of right now, they're here to help us.
Okay. Well, I think we can take all the help we could get, so...
Yeah, do you know how much further to go?
Yeah, I don't know exactly, but
There's kind of an impatient thwacking of the tail on Bren's chest.
we should probably start going now, though. I'm just gonna start going. All right, here we go. I got a dragon.
As they start going, 80 turns to Violet and is just like, I will do anything this dragon tells us to do.
That's really cool. Oh my god. Oh my goodness.
Even Bren's kind of like, got a damn dragon. Yeah.
So as you are being led through the Siltwood, Bren, you know, you have that similar sensation to earlier of having a confidence of knowing where you're going. You see, like, ahead of you, the path that you're taking kind of mirrors the memories of what Star is kind of feeding you actively as you travel through. You realize, however, very quickly that you're heading into portions of the Siltwood that you've never been. You're moving deeper into the Siltwood, and things seem to be changing around you. It's almost imperceptible to everyone else. But Bren, you have an understanding of what nature is, and this is something beyond the normal of nature. there's an infusion of magic here that is permeating the space in such a way that the very forest and trees and mossy ground seems to alter with each step that you take. And you realize that if it wasn't for Starry guiding you, you would probably be lost at this point, and you're not sure if you would make it out. And that's when you realize that this is the reason that so many people fear the Siltwood. That this is a place that if you go too deep within, you may never make it out. It isn't because of the dangers and the threats and the ambush drakes and the like. It's because of this. It's because of the ability of this place to consume your ability to navigate it. And the rest of you begin to feel a little bit of this lost sensation, so much so that you start feeling the fear creep up within you. You can see Bren, and you can see Star, and that guides you, and that you kind of fixate upon that to keep moving forward. And then the rest of you start noticing the forest change. The pigmentation of it begins to alter from the greens and dark grays of the siltwood that you're used to. It starts to take on an almost ethereal amethyst glow about it. And before you even realize it, you step out into a vast clearing, a boggy section of the siltwood with a massive tree, or at least the stump of a tree at its center. This aura of magic surrounds the tree itself. You can literally see filaments of power running in a circle around the tree, permeating the space. You breathe in an air that is intoxicating. And I need for each of you to please make wisdom saving throws. Ian, you have advantage on this because of Star. Your DC on this was 17.
Beer got a 22.
Nice.
80 got a 22.
Nice.
19.
Excellent.
I got an 8.
I think you still have a couple of advantages if you wanted to use one.
I don't think I'm going to use one.
Okay.
Daring.
So, everyone feels very overwhelmed by this place. But Mira, 80, and Bren, you keep your wits about you. You can feel the power of it, the serenity of it, the etherealness that kind of envelops everything. It washes over you, but you don't let it dominate you. Vi, on the other hand, becomes enmeshed in all of those sensations. And as they become enmeshed, you feel a presence. You feel not just the power, the magic, you feel a dominant force all around you. It seeps within Violet, so much so that she feels that she must kneel. She has no concept of how to stand up to this force, this entity that exists in this space. And she drops to her knees. The marsh underneath your feet, the rest of you turn and see Violet as she just collapses down to her knees, supporting herself with her hands. the water kind of seeping up into her pants and legs, not just jarring her from whatever sensation that she is feeling. And as quickly as this oppressiveness surges upon you, Violet, you feel it kind of disappear. And when you look up, you don't see everyone else around you. Instead, you see a pair of floating eyes, draconic in nature, just looking at you expectantly. Do you say or do anything in response?
Hello?
As you say hello, you hear a booming, almost guttural, powerful voice echo through you. It isn't in your ears, it's in your mind, it's in your chest, it's in every aspect of your body, so much so that you clench your eyes together and wince as you hear the voice say, "Welcome."
I don't say anything. I have no idea what to say.
As Vi sits there, kind of entranced by this, the rest of you look upon Vi and see that she's not there. Her body is there and she's shaking, but her pupils are fully dilated. There is nothing. No response.
Can I feel anything from her?
Well, that's a good question. Give me a spellcaster ability check, please.
You betcha. $12?
There's a void.
Shit.
Vi is no longer present in that body. You don't feel Vi's consciousness or emotion or spirit or anything from them. Violet, as you try to conform yourself to whatever communication this entity is having with you, you hear, "Why have you come?"
Just passing through? Where am I?
You are everywhere. And as you kind of try to wrap your mind around that statement, you all of a sudden find yourself floating so far high in the sky that you have no concept of how high you actually are. You see the curvature of the world on the horizon. It is still night. You think? You see the glimmer of the twin suns off in the distance, but they're not casting light where you are at. But you see them. You see a land underneath of where you're floating. And then you see another far off to the east. Is that the east? You don't know. You see the oceans. They look so calm from this high up. And you realize that you are, in fact, everywhere.
Should I go back to my friends?
Of course. But before you go, remember always to balance the powers. Whatever is in front of you, seek its balance. The energies of the world, the magic of everything must have balance. And as soon as that statement finishes, you find yourself collapsing into the marsh, the water splashing up on your face. You are soaked, combination of your own body, sweat, and the water that is around you. Do me a favor and roll a religion check, please.
That's at 10, but now I'll use my advantage.
Okay.
9.
Okay. In that moment, you find yourself unconsciously muttering those statements. And Mira hears this as you all bear witness to Violet coming back into conscious and back into her body. 80 feels the whatever emotions that Vi is experiencing, which Andrew will talk about in a moment. But as those words unconsciously come out of Violet's mouth, Mira recognizes the words in Vimbradel's teaching. The primal ascendant that takes the form of an enormous, gargantuan golden dragon enters her mind. The reading of that text, she harkens back to reading about it, and the words are identical. And it's fairly safe to say Mira would understand that somehow Vi just had an experience with an ascendant. So what is Violet feeling as she comes to?
Shock, confusion, wet.
What do the rest of you do?
As soon as I felt a void in Vi's presence, I would have like dropped to my knees too and just sort of like held her shoulder. So when she comes to and sort of collapses, I'll just try to help her up and like push as far as I can to try to understand what's going on.
Balance. There's. I don't know. I was everywhere. I don't know. I'm really confused. How did I end up on the floor? Vi's like a little embarrassed. Doesn't really understand how she ended up where she is and why AD is holding her.
Are you okay?
I don't know.
Where did you go?
I was here, and then I was on the floor. But in between, I was everywhere. I heard a voice tell me something about balance, about keeping magic in balance. I don't know. I was terrified. I was scared. I was in the air. I don't know. And now I'm here on the floor, wet, and
Mira is furious. And she stands up and just sort of yells up to the sky. You didn't help me then, and your cryptic words are of no use to us now. And she just will storm off and like fume by herself for a few minutes.
What's going on?
I have an idea. Let's get you out of here.
I think I'll be okay. Just give me a sec. I'll need to sit probably for a bit. I probably shouldn't stand.
As Adi and Vi are kind of helping Vi through this experience, Ian, does Bren do anything?
Kind of hanging out with my dragon, just watching everything. I think in this moment, Bren is kind of standing there and just like doing one of these. But then I do think at one point he goes to Star. Do you know anything about this?
Get a feeling of uncertainty from Star. And then you see that then Mira, yells at the heavens and storms off.
All right.
Potato lettuce here?
Star.
As Mira storms off, that feeling of uncertainty changes to almost sympathy.
Interesting. Let's get you off the floor, buddy.
Yeah, and she'll extend a hand up.
I would like to find Mira. I think at this point I would be like, with Star, I'd go, Alex, give me a second. Just kind of gently put them down.
As soon as you start to get Star off of your shoulder, Star just takes flight and goes up into the canopy above.
Yeah.
Disappears from sight. And you chase after Mira.
Yeah. Hopefully once I catch up with him, I gotta go, hey. What's going on?
These scudding ascendant and they're meddling or not meddling. I don't know.
A little outburst back there tells me that there is something that you do know. What is it?
They don't help. They don't help when you ask. They don't help when you're desperate. They only come when it's convenient.
What did you ask for?
I asked for a way to help my sister. I begged for years. And none of them answered.
What? I'm not one too much for the Ascendant, but what makes you think they didn't answer you?
Nothing changed.
What did you expect to change?
I asked for power, okay? I asked for magic. So I could protect my sister and change the situation so that she wouldn't have to hide so much, so that I could deflect any suspicion away from her, and they didn't answer. And so I've had to take my own path and learn magic the hard way. That's why I'm at the university.
Again, not really one for the Ascendant. I respect it, but not my personal path, but from where I'm standing, my understanding of who you are and who your sister is, it sounds like you got your answer. And it's not them ignoring you. You wanted power to protect your sister. So you worked, and you learned, and you got it. And again,
Kind of. It's so hard, though. Some things are
who said it's supposed to?
natural, and some just. The first years can do things that I can't do.
And I don't see any first years out here in the Siltwood battling ambush drakes and succeeding.
Well, it was due to my sister's magic and yours, not mine.
I saw you help just as much as me and your sister. You wanted power. It's not even about power. You wanted to protect your sister out of love. And a weaker person would have sat with no answer and not found an option, not found the path, not find a path. But you didn't. You found a path. And yes, it's slow going and it's uphill, but you found it. Your sister looks fine to me. Hell, the both of you are thriving. And whether you learn this magic or not, she still would have been protected. Because that's your sister. And like you told me, you would have words with anybody who would go against her. Sounds like you're doing a damn good job without an ascendant.
Yeah, without an ascendant.
So what's the problem?
We don't need their help. I don't know whatever Vimredel did to buy. Why now? Why
It's not for us to say. It's not for us to say.
Like I said, they meddle, and it makes me furious.
It's understandable. But don't lose your focus. You asked for something, and you're getting it. Vimredel be damned.
Vimredel be damned.
Come on. We have to go dry Vi off.
Yeah.
We have a dragon. Cool.
He is really cool.
Yeah. Come on. Then he kind of brushes her off a little bit, gives her one of those overly strong pat on the backs.
Oh.
Yeah. There we go.
Yep. Okay.
What have 80 and Vi been doing while that was going on?
I don't know what you would call it, but it's the emotional version of eavesdropping. I have just been totally zoned in, familiar with these feelings.
Are you using your ethereal insight?
I sure am.
Okay. I would say then that 80 probably picks up both sides of that conversation.
None of it is surprising. I know how she feels. Very grateful that Bren is with her. So I don't rush to follow because I know that she kind of has to, blow off a little steam. And I just try to help Violet get dried off and calmed from whatever the hell just happened to her.
Vi, I think, is still trying to understand whatever just happened to her. So there's a certain amount of not deliriousness, but just like,
Disassociation.
yeah, to it.
By wherever you went, did you feel safe?
Yeah, but mostly just confused.
Sure.
I didn't understand. Honestly, I'm just a little embarrassed right now.
No. Why would you be embarrassed?
Because I don't know how I ended up on the floor, and I'm confused, and I was with you, then I wasn't, and then now, I don't know, Mira stormed off, and I feel like I don't know.
That doesn't have anything to do with you specifically. Don't worry about her. You're back. We're here. You're still safe. It'll become clearer, I think. Maybe.
I don't know where to go from here. I don't know.
Are you feeling like pulled in a particular direction? Does what we're doing feel wrong now?
I honestly don't know. I was just trying to process what happened. Still, kind of shook.
Yeah. Do you want to stop? I mean, we can always go back too.
I mean, we've made it this far already. I imagine we're almost there. I don't know what this giant tree is. Do you know anything about that?
Absolutely not. Maybe Bren knows something.
Or Mira. She knows a lot. Also, your sister's way scarier than what you've told me. Oh my god.
Yeah, she is. That's kind of great. I think you might have, just based on her reaction, I think you might have been talking with an ascendant. Does that track?
And it's like a 1,000-yard stare. Like she's trying to process what you're saying. Like, maybe, but by me, and all they said was to keep balance, which I don't know what that means.
It sounds like sound advice.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we should just meet up with Mira and Brett and figure out where to go from here.
Sure. Yeah.
On that
I'll
note,
reach out to take your hand and we can go.
as AD reaches out and takes Violet's hand, you turn and you see Mira and Bren making their way back towards you. And as you all get close enough that you're about to like start talking to one another, a prismatic burst of light erupts from the inside of the magical tree, not, 50, 60 feet away from you. And all of you look up as Star bursts from the treetops above and starts flying at breakneck speed towards the source of the light. And that's where we're going to call it for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you again, everyone, for tuning in. I very much look forward to seeing you all again next week as we find out what that crazy light was. Bye, everyone.